NATO versus BRICS. The battle for global dominance. NATO versus BRICS. Two acronyms, two visions, two competing centers of power. One forged in the ashes of World War II and the Cold War, the other born from the rise of new economies in the 21st century. Tonight we'll trace their histories, compare their strengths and weaknesses, and ask the big question: who is shaping the rules of the 21st century order? Part 1. Foundations. Where they came from. To understand the competition, we must first go back to where it began. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was established on April 4, 1949, when the United States, Canada, and several Western European nations signed the Washington Treaty to guarantee collective security against a potential Soviet threat. The idea was simple and urgent. An attack on one is an attack on all. Article 5 would become the alliance's core commitment. NATO anchored the transatlantic security order through the Cold War and adapted after it ended, absorbing former Warsaw Pact members as Europe restructured. BRICS has a very different origin story. The term BRICS was first popularized in the early 2000s to describe fast-growing emerging markets. What started as an economic idea, a way to think about global investment and growth, evolved into a political and diplomatic project. By 2009, the BRICS leaders met formally, pledging cooperation on trade, development finance, and reforms to global institutions. South Africa joined in 2010, and since then, BRICS has grown into a broader coalition that seeks a louder voice for the Global South. Part 2. What they are now. Membership and structure. Both groups have changed since their founding. NATO began as a compact of Western democracies and grew as Europe's map changed. Through a series of enlargements after the Cold War, NATO steadily added Central and Eastern European states. In recent years, Finland and Sweden completed accession processes. Sweden became NATO's 32nd member in early 2024, bringing NATO to 32 members and extending the alliance's reach across the Baltic and Nordic region. BRICS began as 4 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, and China, later adding South Africa. More recently, BRICS embarked on a deliberate expansion drive. After invitations extended at the 2023 summit, several countries have joined or moved closer to partnership status, reflecting the group's ambition to be a wider platform for emerging and regional powers. Structurally, NATO is a formal military alliance with integrated command structures and regular joint exercises. BRICS is looser, a diplomatic and economic bloc, with a new development bank, working groups, and annual leader summits rather than a standing military command. Part 3. Strategic goals and worldviews. The heart of the competition is not just geography or size, it's purpose and worldview. NATO's primary purpose is security, defined through military deterrence and collective defense. It emphasizes interoperability, standardized forces, planning, and integrated command so allies can act together rapidly. BRICS presents an alternative: emphasis on economic development, reform of global finance governance, and greater policy space for rising and middle powers. Initiatives like the new development bank and calls for a multipolar global order are central themes. Put simply, NATO institutionalizes shared security commitments backed by military capability. BRICS seeks structural change in economic governance and offers development-oriented cooperation as its main currency of influence. Part 4. Economic power versus military power. Power has many dimensions. Let's compare 2 of the most important: economic influence and military capability. BRICS countries together represent a large share of global population and have huge economic heft, particularly China and India. That population and market size translate into a growing share of global GDP, trade, and investment flows, and a strong ability to shape supply chains. NATO, especially through the United States and European members, retains unmatched military reach, technological edge, and alliance logistics. The alliance's members account for a significant majority of global defense spending, giving NATO global power projection capabilities. The result is an asymmetry. BRICS' power is concentrated in economics, demographics, and infrastructure, while NATO's advantage is military organization, alliance cohesion, and force projection. Where NATO can impose military pressure and coordinate defensive responses, BRICS can offer development financing, alternative trading partnerships, and diplomatic backing that can be especially attractive to developing states. Part 7. Soft power, institutions, and legitimacy. Alongside hard power, soft power and institutional influence shape long-term prominence. NATO members benefit from deep institutional networks, long-standing multilateral institutions, attractive governance models, and financial systems tied to the dollar. These structures create strong incentives for partner countries to align with Western systems. BRICS counters by offering alternatives, development banks, investment packages, and a rhetorical appeal to sovereignty and non-interference. Its members often emphasize multipolarity, the idea that global power should be distributed rather than centered on Western institutions. Legitimacy matters. For some governments, BRICS offers a path that avoids the conditionalities they associate with Western institutions. For others, particularly democracies with security concerns, NATO's system of mutual assurance remains more reassuring. Part 6. Flashpoints and areas of contest. So where do these worlds collide? Look to the hotspots: Eastern Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Latin America, cyberspace, and global finance. In Europe, NATO's posture is decisive. The alliance focuses on deterrence and defense. In parts of Africa and Latin America, BRICS and its partners have been active with investments, mineral deals, and infrastructure projects, areas where NATO has little direct role. Then there's cyber and information space, arenas where both blocs and their members contest influence, norms, and strategic advantage, without necessarily firing a shot. Another arena is global finance. BRICS members push for reduced dollar dependence, expanded use of local currencies, and reforms of institutions such as the IMF and World Bank. That doesn't replace Western finance overnight, but it does create strategic alternatives for many countries. Part 8. Strengths, vulnerabilities, and internal dynamics. Both NATO and BRICS have internal strengths and internal cracks. NATO's strength is its institutionalization and interoperability. Its vulnerability is political cohesion. Consensus is required among many democracies with different priorities. Public opinion and political cycles can complicate unified action. BRICS' strength is diversity. It brings together major regional powers with differing resources. Its vulnerability is coherence. Countries in BRICS often have divergent interests, rivalries, ideological differences, and conflicting regional priorities, make it deep political coordination a challenge. In short, NATO is strong because it is organized for security. BRICS is influential because of scale and opportunity, but neither is monolithic. Conclusion: what the future might look like. NATO and BRICS do not represent a simple binary of West versus East. They are coalitions shaped by history, interests, and institutions. The 21st century will likely see continued overlap, competition in some places, cooperation in others. Climate, trade, pandemics, cyber threats, these are problems no single bloc can fully solve alone. The real question is not which bloc will win, but whether the global system can be steered towards rules and institutions that are resilient, fairer, and able to manage shared challenges. And that depends on diplomacy, realistic power calculations, and above all, governance. The battle for global dominance is less a single war than a continual negotiation about rules, influence, and legitimacy. Thanks for watching. If you like this deep dive, hit subscribe for more Geopolitics Explained. Drop your thoughts below. What do you think matters most in the 21st century balance of power?